Welcome back everyone to another preview. I can't believe it's already time to talk about Texas. I'm heading there tomorrow and I am so pumped for this one. It's probably the best field we've ever seen at Texas, especially on the men's side, but the women's is equally as exciting because we have a really insane matchup for the win. And yeah, that's what we're gonna dive into first. It's just gonna be a little bit of a quicker video. Again, just going over what the biggest headlines are, and then I'll make my predictions. And like last time, I'd love to see your top three for both the men's and the women's in the comments. And like these two winners from last time, you could win some piece of Daily Tri merch. So yeah, please do drop those in the comments. But let's start off with the women. As I said, the big showdown here for me is Kat Matthews versus Taylor Knibb. I mean, Taylor's taken two 70.3 world titles over Kat Matthews in the last couple of years, but Kat Matthews' full distance experience, I think, is gonna really come into play here. Taylor's only raced one full before and Kat has raced many. Both of them are opening their season here, so we really don't know how good a form they're both in. But we do know that Taylor Knibb skipped Singapore, and you just have to imagine that was with eyes focused on this race. And Kat Matthews has switched coaches. He's now working with Alex Dowsett, and she said she is just all in on working on her TTing, her time trialing in order to close that gap towards Taylor Knibb this year. So it is going to be an exciting duel to see where both of these women are at. Kat specifically for me on the bike, how close is she to Taylor? And then Taylor, just how good is she over the full distance? And can she run a marathon better than she did when she gave it a go in Kona, where she ended up walking, still ran a 3:05, pretty respectable, finishing 4th place there. But she's gonna have to run a lot quicker than that, I think, to take down Kat, who's run a 2:49 on this course when she broke the course record in 2023. And that brings me to the other point I was gonna make, that Kat has won this race twice. She has that experience. So it really is probably the first race in a while that I haven't just outright picked Taylor for the win 110%, which feels great. But I think Taylor also has some things going for her here that still means she could run away with the win. The fact that she did skip Singapore, which to me was a clear sign that she's all in on Kona this year. That focus, she's probably put a lot more intentional training into this race, unlike she did going into her first Kona race. She also is now with Dan Lorang, Lucy Charles Barkley's coach, who obviously led Lucy to pulling off that insane performance that she had in Kona. So he knows a thing or two about the full distance. And yeah, Taylor's just been getting better. I feel like we forget this with every year that passes by. She's still relatively young. And I do think she took the bike really easy in Kona and still had a brilliant ride there. So I still think it could be the Taylor show like we're used to seeing, but I can't 110% pick her here. But we'll get to who I pick in just a little bit, because we have many other names to talk about on this list. And we have to start off next, since we're speaking about Kona, with Chelsea Sodaro, who just announced today as I'm recording this, her new bike sponsor, changing up bike sponsors again for this year with Ventum. She's riding that Ventum Tempest. We've seen the likes of Danielle Lewis, Ben Canute switch to as well. And she's now had a fair amount of time with her new coach, Neil Henderson. So it's gonna be really interesting to see where she shows up, especially considering she skipped Oceanside, and I think she could be really dangerous if she's on her day. We've seen her perform super well in the heat before. That is such a factor on this course. I forgot to mention with Kat and Taylor, if it's a really windy day, that could mean a hard bike ride. And if it's hot and humid like it so often is, that could favor the good runners in the heat, like the likes of Chelsea Sodaro and Kat Matthews. So Sodaro for me really is actually a dark horse for this one, because we haven't seen her at her full peak like we did when she won the World Championship. So I'm so excited to see how she goes with a long block into this one. But then we've also got Alice Alberts and Danielle Lewis. Two ladies here I think are within a real shout for a podium. Danielle Lewis had a brilliant Oceanside. I think if she had a few more kilometers on the run, she could have taken that win over Jackie and Paula. She said her swim wasn't as good as she was hoping for from what she's seeing in the pool off of her winter training. So this might be a great chance for her to show off how far her swim's improved. And if she's within touching distance on the bike and run to the front of the race, she will definitely be there. And then Reagan Hollyoak making the big trip over from the Oceania area. She's won her last 3 full Ironman races. She'll be a fun one to watch. But I think the most fun one, the most intriguing to see, will be Tamara Jewett making her first full Ironman distance appearance. Can she take that running speed and translate it over to the marathon? And can she hold down the fort on the bike leg and not lose too much time? I don't think she'll be expecting too big of a result, but with that run speed that she possesses, and if other people crumble in the heat, you never know where she could end up. And finally, we've got Lisa Perger. Cannot forget about her. Nobody predicted her for runner-up in Singapore, so we know she's super good in the heat. She's also come second at Ironman Cozumel before, which meant she's punched her ticket already to the World Champs. So this really is just a pressure off, fun race for her here in Texas, and I think she's a definite dark horse, maybe even to sneak onto the podium. You can't deny that after what she did in Singapore. Brilliant runner too, so keep an eye on the tracker for both Tamara and Lisa, despite where they are off the bike. It's gonna be a fast swim. I think Taylor Knibb's gonna be super happy with some other fast swimmers here like Rachel Zielinskis, Steph Clutterbuck, there's Haley Chura, Teresa Adams, Lisa Perder. It's gonna be a fast swim. Kat Matthews is the big question here. Where is she gonna end up? Is she gonna have a swim like she did in Nice, which was absolutely unbelievable? That would set her up super well. Or is she gonna be a couple minutes back? We'll have to wait and see. But even if she has a couple minutes back and loses still another 5 minutes on the bike, which I think could be a good estimate, it's what I'm thinking right now, 7 minutes down overall onto the run, and I think I would back Kat for the win. But if she loses a little bit more than that, my bet is on Taylor to hold her own on the run. But with lots of those fast swimmers coming back towards Kat, I think she could have some good help on the bike, and that might keep the deficit to Taylor down. But with her focus on the time trialing this year, she might be able to do it all on her own. And remember that 2:49 run that she did when she broke the record in 2023, and I think she's much better than that right now. So keep that number in mind. But my picks, I still am going Taylor Knibb here. I just think for all the reasons I mentioned earlier, that she's focused on this, I think she'll still be too strong on the bike just yet. But I think that'll get closer between her and Kat throughout the year. So I've got Kat Matthews in second, and I think Chelsea has a good consistent day all around and a solid run to earn herself the podium. But before we get on to the men's race, I have to tell you about something super exciting. I have finally decided to get my coaching certificate and start jumping more seriously into the coaching world. I have, for the last few years, been coaching the likes of my dad, but also some friends along the way, and it's something I've always wanted to get back to. I used to be a personal trainer before I did my little flying and piloting detour, but yeah, ever since going full-fledged back into triathlon, I knew I would love to do coaching, especially for someone like the likes of my dad who, you know, is just starting out and wanting to do a 70.3, eventually wanting to do a full, and after the success we had together, I knew I had to go fully into this, but I didn't want to rush into it, and I definitely wanted to get some more education behind me, and that's when I stumbled across 80/20 Endurance, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of them before and used some of their many training plans or resources that they have out there, but you might not know that they have this coaching certification course, which I have found to be just incredible, especially for the value that you get for it. It includes a book alongside of it, a plethora of Training Peaks plans and workouts. You get access to their coaching community, which includes so many more resources. Plus you get access to safe sport training and certification through it as well. But even outside of all those highlights, the information that you get inside of it has truly given me a lot of confidence to start this journey, and they also go deeper on the why behind everything, and that's what I love. And just the fact that you get access to this amazing community as well is such an added bonus for somebody just starting out fresh. So if you're interested in that, please do check it out below in the description, and I'll keep you posted on my coaching journey and share that with you. I've actually signed up for Ironman Chattanooga to put some of my own coaching to the test and put my money where my mouth is, so we'll see how that goes. But let's get right back on over to the men's race, because that's what we're here for. Oh, and oh man, what a deep World Championship level field, I've heard lots of people call it. Even after, sadly, Patrick Lange, the rightful defending champion, pulled out, sadly, and Lionel as well after he picked up a sickness after Oceanside. But still, without them, it is insane. But staying on them for a second, I think it'll be quite tough for them at this stage to get maximum Pro Series points from here. They'll have to definitely go either to Frankfurt or Ironman Cairns.
But what about the Pro Series? Because now you have to go to Cairns or Hamburg if you're wanting to do good in the Pro Series.
No, I don't want to do good in the Pro Series anymore. I don't care.
It could mean Patrick does challenge Roth. I mean, he's auto-qualified already as the defending champion. But secretly, I am kind of glad Patrick has pulled out because I wanted to wait for this head-to-head battle between him and the Norwegians until Nice, the big showdown. So I'm kind of glad we'll have to wait and see for that one. But like I said, we got plenty other guys here that are just as exciting. Rudy von Berg for me, 2023 champion here. He's fresh off a good result at Oceanside. I think he's definitely more training towards the full distance this year. Obviously, it counts so much more in the Pro Series. And then he's going back to Nice. That's his home area. He is going to want more than his third place that he got in 2023. So I think he's probably the big one to watch here to take down Big Blue, who everybody's saying is really the favorite for this one. But will he get out of his own way, as he seems to quite often with either cramps or nutrition issues, or like we saw on Oceanside, picking up that puncture, riding through some rough patch of course and not having anything to fix that puncture.
Some of them forgot to bring a flat kit, so no.
Fight 3, maybe bring a flat kit this time, learn how to change it, practice a little bit before.
We'll have to see if he's carrying one of those, has a bit of extra luck, and whether he can pull it off without any other issues. Gustav Iden then will be hoping for a good full distance under his belt. He surprised himself, I think, a little bit. He was aiming for a top 8 in Oceanside, got that podium, and now we'll have to see whether he can do it over the full distance. I have a feeling
Bit nervous.
he's going to struggle a little bit. He said he was fading towards the end of the Oceanside race, and this is definitely a tougher course overall, as well as double the distance. And then Casper Storens had a rough run there at Oceanside, but was in good nick right up until it all crumbled. So we'll have to wait and see how he does over the full. But for me, I am most excited about the bike battle on this course. Nobody has gone sub 4 on the full course. Starkey went under it when it was a little bit short, I believe in 2018, but I really think it's going to happen officially this year. Got the likes of Trevor Foley, who said he's just going to go all out on the bike and run. You've got Robert Callan, the fastest ever Ironman bike split holder, Leon Chevalier, Nick Thompson, who's gone mental on this course before, Matt Burton, Christian Hogenhaug, who I think had arguably one of the best bike rides last year at Frankfurt, as well as Matthew Marquardt, who blew this bike apart last year from the gun. So excited to see how that unfolds. Are they all together? A lot of these guys could be together. Trevor Foley's swim could be super vital here for him. If he's with or gets up to some of these other guys, it could be a freight train towards the front of this race. If he's not, it might be a little tough for him to make too much of a dent with a lot of these other guys being so strong on the bike, especially with the likes of Matthew Marquardt gonna be at the front of the swim, gonna push the pace hard on the bike. He's got the likes of Ben Canoe, Christian Blumenfeld will probably be there up the front, Robert Wilkowiecki. It's gonna be a strong front pack. Rudy von Berg as well. He's rode a 4:05 on this course before. I think KB is gonna try and stay with Marquardt out the swim. We saw him in Kona go out too hard on the bike, but I don't think he really needs to risk too much on the bike here. Just needs to play it cool and let his run do the work. This is a fast run course if you survive the hot conditions. If you get the pacing right, you're bound to run fast like we saw Patrick do last year. But if you get it wrong, it can go really south, like we saw what happened to Matthew last year. But I think KB could run seriously low 230s here if he's on. But the reason they're calling it a World Championship list is because it goes very deep. Lots of guys fighting for the Pro Series, Kona qualification slots, and we have lots of dark horses here who could easily make a difference and earn a podium spot. Antonio Benito Lopez stands out for me. His Ironman Victoria win shows just what he's capable of. He's super good in the heat, although he did struggle in Kona, and I think that was because he pushed the bike a little bit too hard. But he is coming off a T100 prep, so we're not sure how he'll end up. Kieran Linders, he's all in on this one. We saw how well he did at Frankfurt last year behind KB and at Kona. Big dark horse here. Matt Hansen then, 3-time winner. We have to bring him up. He'll for sure have a good run. How much time is he gonna lose on the bike has been the repeated question here for quite some time. I'm sure he's put some extra work into it this off season. Chris Leiferman usually doesn't need too much work on the bike, and it's been a tough couple seasons for him, but when he's on, he is so dangerous on the bike in the run. And then also you've got the all-rounder, Mr. Daniel Backegaard, who's been missing from full form in a recent time, especially at the full distance. He seems like he's in a much better spot overall, and I really hope he has a good race and we see him back to where we know he's capable of being. Keep in mind, just like the women's race, the wind and the heat can make a huge difference here, and that's why it's going to be so fun to watch with such a stacked field. Anybody can come through and have a surprising result here if lots of other people start to crumble, just like Kona. But finally, on to my picks, and I have gone with Christian Blumenfeld here. Surely he has run out of his bad luck, and finally things will click into place. And I think we're going to see just how good a shape he's in right now. I mean, after he ran that 107 at Oceanside and came into the finisher's shoe, I talked to him pretty much right afterwards, and it just seemed like he had just gone for a training day jog. He looked in some seriously good nick there. And I think he's going to win this one by making a statement and finishing by a good few minutes in front of second place, who I think is going to be the Bison himself, the man who's good across all 3 disciplines, who's the only person who runs in the tier shoes that I know of, and that's Rudy von Berg. I think this guy's just going from strength to strength, had a lot of hiccups in the last few years, and we're finally getting to see the caliber of athlete he is, especially in the lead up to his home World Championships in Nice. And then I've gone for an outside pick for 3rd place here with Benito Lopez. I think the T100 actually isn't his full focus this year. I have a sneaking suspicion, and I think he finds himself in a good pack on the swim, a decent pack on the bike, and then runs his way to a 3rd place in the heat. But I have to mention the aerodynamic shaved head Gustav Iden here. I think a great result for him here would be a 5th place in such a stacked field. If he does that, I really am a believer that Gustav can be a main competitor in Nice if he pulls it off in this field. But of course, as always, let me know what I got wrong down below, and let me know your picks for the men's and the women's. And make sure you tune in, as always, for the highlights after the race. As always, I'll make sure to get them out as soon as possible. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next one.